Thank you. Thank you very much for that incredibly warm welcome. It's great to be back in Belleville today with all of you and our terrific candidate and former mayor, Neil Ellis. Again, another round of applause. And as Andy mentioned in his incredibly moving opening words, it's also an incredible pleasure for me to be surrounded by so many of our incredible candidates who've served us proudly as members of the Canadian Forces, and I'll name them again. Jeffrey Lahou, Leona Alsev, Stephen Fuhr, Yuri Rousseau, Harjit Sajjan, Karen McCrimmon, David Gauvin, Andy Leslie, and Robert Falcon-Willett. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. These women and men behind me share something really important in common. Each and every one of them served our country in uniform. I recruited them to stand for public office because public office ought to be about public service. We've been reminded over and over again these past few weeks that we have a Prime Minister and a government that serves itself when it ought to be serving Canadians. The sad story coming out of that Ottawa courtroom is about a Prime Minister who will do anything to keep himself in power, even if it means misleading Parliament and the Canadian people. Well, the people with me on this stage today are the antidote for the self-serving cynicism Stephen Harper has injected deep into the heart of public life in Canada. Their valor, their work ethic, their willingness to sacrifice their lives for the values we share and too often take for granted, that's the kind of public service Canadians deserve. I am deeply, deeply honored to call them colleagues, and I will keep working hard over the next 2 months to earn Canadians' trust so you can call them your government. Les hommes et les femmes ici avec moi aujourd'hui ont quelque chose en commun. Ce sont nos hommes et femmes en uniforme. Ils ont fait le choix de servir leur pays. Je leur ai demandé de continuer à servir leur pays en représentant les Canadiens au gouvernement. Et je suis très heureux qu'ils aient accepté. Il est temps de donner aux Canadiens et aux anciens combattants un gouvernement qui est là pour eux, pour leurs intérêts. Clairement, avec tout ce qu'on entend dernièrement, on voit que la priorité d'un gouvernement mené par Stephen Harper, c'est de se battre bec et ongles pour ses propres intérêts et de s'accrocher au pouvoir à tout prix. Les personnes qui m'accompagnent aujourd'hui sont tout le contraire du cynisme politique. Voilà le genre d'élu que les Canadiens méritent. C'est un honneur. C'est un honneur pour moi de les considérer comme mes collègues et votre futur gouvernement. Driving here along the Highway of Heroes and over the Veterans Bridge, I thought about the men and women who have traveled that road. I thought about their service to Canada, what it means to stand up for the values that you believe in deeply. And I thought about their sacrifice. I thought about how that sacrifice should never be taken for granted. And yet, for the last 10 years, it has been. Mr. Harper's government has failed our veterans. Harper likes to wrap himself in the flag, but he has betrayed the brave men and women who laid down their lives for it. Our servicemen and women stand for the very best of what it means to be Canadian. They put their lives on the line for us, and that commitment has come at a high cost. 158 members of the Canadian forces lost their lives during our mission in Afghanistan. The suicide tally is, sadly, even higher, 170 since 2004. Thousands more were wounded or suffer still from post-traumatic stress disorder. We owe a sacred trust to veterans and their families, all of them. It's an obligation we must meet with respect and gratitude. And yet, Mr. Harper's government walked away from it. They fired hundreds of frontline veteran support staff. They closed 9 local service offices, making it harder and harder for veterans to get the support they so badly need and deserve. They left unspent more than $1 billion that Parliament allocated for veterans support. Canadians know that this is wrong. A government led by me would make it right. Our veterans deserve respect. They deserve support. And they deserve a real chance at a bright future once they leave active service. You know, a few of you know that I'm not the first of my family to have entered into politics. A smaller number of you probably know that my grandfather also served as a member of Parliament for many years. But not many of you know that that grandfather, James Sinclair, was also a proud veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces. He was an RCAF squadron leader in the Western Sahara during World War II. And he held the particular distinction of not only serving in World War II as an officer in the RCAF, but doing it at the same time as he was a member of Parliament representing Vancouver North. He's one of the few members of Parliament in the world who served during active service in World War II, and it just sort of goes to show how deep the idea of service is rooted in my family. So if I earn the right to serve your country, this country as your Prime Minister, no veteran will be forced to fight their own government for the support and compensation that they have earned. We will reinstate lifelong pensions and increase their value in line with the obligation we have made to those injured in the line of duty. We'll invest $25 million in and expand access to the permanent impairment allowance. We'll honor their past service, but we'll also help them secure a bright future. We'll cover the cost of 4 years of post-secondary education for every veteran who wants one. That's 4 years of university, college, or technical education fully funded. And as my colleagues here will tell you, nobody walks onto a battlefield alone. Our veterans stand on the shoulders of some of the most remarkable people in this country, their families, the men, women, and children who dearly miss their husband, their wife, their mom, dad, daughter, or son. These outstanding Canadians make sacrifices that most of us cannot even dream of. They miss their loved ones for painful periods of time in the most stressful circumstances imaginable. So we will also invest in veterans' families. We'll invest $100 million more per year in family support services. And that includes education, counseling, and training for families providing care for veterans living with physical and mental health issues. We'll double the last post fund because every veteran deserves a dignified burial. And we'll reopen those 9 Veterans Affairs offices the Harper government closed. Further, we'll hire 400 frontline service workers, including much-needed case managers, at Veterans Affairs. We'll implement each and every one of the Auditor General's recommendations last year on enhancing mental health service delivery. And finally, a Liberal government will make sure that Canada becomes a leader in caring for and supporting veterans. We'll invest $20 million in an endowment to create 2 centers of excellence in veterans care. Future generations of brave women and men should know that they will be looked after when they finish their service to Canada. There should never be any doubt in their minds. Pendant une décennie, les conservateurs de Stephen Harper ont manqué à leur obligation solennelle envers les anciens combattants. Ils leur ont carrément manqué de respect. Les exemples sont nombreux. Fermeture de 9 centres de services partout au pays, licenciement de centaines d'employés de première ligne, investissements promis mais non livrés en santé mentale. Nous avons une obligation morale de prendre soin de nos hommes et femmes en uniforme lorsqu'ils reviennent à la maison. Nous leur devons respect et soutien. Un gouvernement libéral amènera des solutions et rétablira le lien de confiance entre les anciens combattants et le gouvernement. Nous investirons 100 millions de dollars par année pour mieux soutenir les familles des anciens combattants. Ce programme couvrira l'éducation, le soutien psychologique et la formation de familles qui prennent soin d'anciens combattants qui ont des problèmes de santé mentale ou physique. Nous doublerons le financement du Fonds du souvenir pour que plus d'anciens combattants aient droit à des funérailles dignes. We'll just let you switch those oxygen tanks. Thank you for being here. Nous rouvrirons les 9 centres de services aux anciens combattants que les conservateurs de Stephen Harper ont fermés et nous mettrons en œuvre toutes les recommandations du vérificateur général en matière de santé mentale. Nous embaucherons 400 nouveaux employés pour fournir des services aux anciens combattants. Nous nous assurerons que le Canada montre l'exemple quand vient le temps de prendre soin de ces hommes et femmes en uniforme. That's our commitment. That's how we'll make things better. That's how we'll bring real change for our veterans. Matt Luloff is here today. Where are you, Matt? You're in the back. Matt served in Afghanistan, and his story brings us all home for me. He returned with no support network and no career. He turned to Veterans Affairs Canada, but as the weeks went by and the benefits he was entitled to never came, things for Matt began to look bleak. He went to Veterans Affairs office in Ottawa every single day, and eventually got the service he needed. But for so many others, walking into a Veterans Affairs office day after day just isn't possible. We need to end the unnecessary hardships we allow our veterans to endure. The policy changes we're committing to today would have immediately changed Matt's life and the lives of so many other veterans. Now, I've said this every day since this campaign began, that we need to replace this cynical, tired old government. But not just with a different government, with a better one. Yes. And nobody deserves that better government more than the people who put their lives at risk serving this country. There are many, many reasons to end the Harper decade. For me, few are more vital than the way Stephen Harper and this Conservative government have betrayed our veterans. We will make right what they got so very, very wrong. Respect, support, a real shot at a brighter future. That's what Canada's veterans can count on if we earn the privilege of serving Canadians as their government. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.